Hello everyone, welcome to another thrift store finds video. I did another half price day at one of our local stores I go to every Wednesday, but before I did that I set out early and went to a different Goodwill bins that's about an hour away, one that I've been to before but probably not in almost a year at this point. It's very out of the way and kind of annoying to get to, so I don't go very often. And it was busy the other times I've been there, but nothing like today. Today was just chaos and violence. Like, it was insane. By the time they finally opened, and this one has big automatic doors, it's like a very big Goodwill outlet, there were minimum 50 people, like just pushing through. It reminded me of like videos you see of a Black Friday sale, and people were just insane, just grabbing handfuls of stuff, throwing it into their carts, and pushing other people around, and it was very aggressive and just like not a fun environment. I don't know what was going on, but it was intense. I don't know, maybe that's normal there at that place. It wasn't in the past, but maybe it's gotten to that point, who knows. I did find some good stuff, but nowhere near as much as I was expecting from previous times that I've been there, just because it was madness. You couldn't even get to some areas, and yeah, I'm not one to like, I'm not gonna shove an old lady out of the way to grab like a VHS tape. Like, I don't, seeing people do crap like that, I don't know. Just unbelievable. It was insane. It was intense. But I found a random variety of things, like all kinds of stuff, and VHS came to mind because that's what's right in front of me. So some books, some VHS, DVDs, some random record finds, toys, weird stuff. But one we sold before, as far as the Disney sing-alongs, this is one of the more popular ones. Zippity Doodah, the classic Scooby-Doo Cartoon Network cover. I've sold randomly, like, I think 3 of these before. Cindy Crawford workout VHS tapes. Workout VHS tapes, like, it's like the most worthless of worthless, with a few exceptions, and one of those is Cindy Crawford. I've picked them up, always in like bargain rooms where it's like a quarter, and they always sell for reasons other than working out. Gentlemen with other interests for some reason purchase those. Cindy Crawford in particular, though, that will go. These I remember because I grew up in a very religious background. McGee and Me was one of the approved things I remember watching. Focus on the Family. I actually remember this one specifically, Twister and Shout, because we had to watch that like a couple times, but a couple of those, and those are definitely like harder to find, and some people have some nostalgic stuff for that. This was an interesting find I'd never seen before, Pure Lethal. It's like behind the scenes, explosive outtakes, all kinds of stuff for Lethal Weapon. Kind of an interesting thing there. Probably stuff that's on some of the DVDs, maybe not. You never know some of those. I've seen a few of the older VHS tapes with like bloopers or behind the scenes or stuff like that that never transferred over to DVD or Blu-ray every once in a while. This has always been one of my favorites of these Walt Disney like mini classics, Peter and the Wolf, from the Silly Symphonies and all that stuff. This has always been one of my favorites. Really, really good one there. And some of the Mother Goose Treasury. Actually, remember why we owned some of these, but this is volumes 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and I found a second copy there of 3 and 4, so we'll see if maybe one's in better shape than the other, just testing them out, and always fun. So that was that. Then for DVDs, again, just kind of some random stuff. The Ali G Show, seasons 1 and 2. A bunch of just kind of random, picked them up at the bargain room. One concert, Deep Purple, California Jam. Double feature, Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Sealed copy of Mummies of the World, Sid Science, Fahrenheit 9/11, BBC series Walking and Talking, and a sealed copy of Johnny Handsome with Mickey Rourke. So interesting, just kind of random stuff that was there. And on the book front, Outrage, The 5 Reasons Why O.J. Simpson Got Away with Murder. Some O.J. and a few books for Amanda's Pengo, that type of fiction. The book side was where I was actually a little disappointed. One of the Warriors books. This is an interesting art book. But yeah, because the last few times that I was there, in last year and before that point, books were the #1 reason to go. Sometimes you get lucky. I've had a couple lucky video game finds there in the past and some other things, but the one guarantee every time we went was at least 4 or 5 bins full of books. You're gonna find something. And this time it was much more wares and clothing, and the book side had either been picked through and was older stuff, or there just wasn't as much. So that, and some hardcover stuff too. Rose Petal Place. So just kind of grabbed anything that was interesting and worth at least picking up for the bargain bin prices. And it wasn't as much as I was hoping would fall on the book front. This is pretty cool, The Mystery of the Cupboard. I've never actually, weirdly, held in my hands a hardcover version of The Indian in the Cupboard. These were super popular when I was a kid. The paperback versions were everywhere. Every library, every kid I knew had at least some of them. I just noticed that when I picked it up. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a hardcover copy. So that was interesting. And this next stack, this is the last of the books, and then I have some other stuff that I found there, is the weirdest of the weird. This is Elora's Cave, erotic romance, and Elora's Cave, I don't even know if it's still around. Possibly, I don't know. But years and years ago, that was a pretty famous, one of the bigger fantasy and sci-fi and horror themed, like erotic romance, like indie books. And something like they were mostly physical as well, which is now more of an oddity. It's much more just like digital, that type of fiction. And I just remember Elora's Cave partially because every sci-fi convention that I went to, I went like I think it was 3 separate times, especially the big one I went to in Canada right after high school. There was a representative there from Elora's Cave trying to sell some of the books, so I was just kind of always stuck in my mind. And there are certain ones that are actually sought after now. I don't know enough in detail to know if I grabbed any of the ones, but there are actually some that are a little more sought after from people who are into that genre. So for picking them up for $0.25 a piece, I picked up a stack of those as well. And you can see the cheesy, like CGI, late 90s, early 2000s indie book covers, the artwork, and it's just something that's so fascinating and funny. And just it's a one that I remember hearing the name and seeing the books all the time, and I just remember the like CG cover art, and they always had these dark fantasy erotic romance fiction. It's very bizarre, but there's a stack of those randomly. They're all in really good shape, so that was definitely one to grab. These were cool to find. There were a bunch of 45s there. Most of them were trashed, but there are a few in really good condition. A Culture Club, I'll tumble for you. Tears for Fears, Shout. So some good stuff that I know. Until Tuesday, Voices Carry. This one's definitely for me though. This is really cool. James Brown, Living in America from Rocky IV. From the Rocky IV soundtrack. That's cool. And a few random things on the toy front, some Marvel stuff. This is from that Tall series from the mid to late 90s, from the Spider-Man animated series, so Kraven the Hunter. Random grab there for a few cents. And some standalone weapons, which can do well, and a Weapon X with his, I don't know if the glowing still works on him. I have Ghost Rider and Nightcrawler, so a few just random little pickups. I'll probably do those Marvel ones as a lot, and the tall Kraven the Hunter separately, and it'd be cool if he was in box. That would be really nice, but at least something interesting, some variety. And then on the way back, went to the normal half price day sale, and there again was a weird situation where that's typically a good go-to for books. Wasn't a whole lot for books. I found a few, but a really interesting collection of DVDs. Grabbed a small selection of books while I was there. The section wasn't super great, but at least found some cool ones here. The Zane Grey Frontier Trilogy. Some Harry Turtledove fantasy, a Stephen King. And that was about it for books. Sadly, that's been a place sometimes where you find like a big stack of Goosebumps, and you never know. But yeah, it can't be hit every week. DVDs then were interesting. They actually had a ton of new stock in with the DVDs, but the problem is every time they do the half price day sale every week, there's one sticker color that they call new to you, so it doesn't apply to half price day, and that was the majority of the DVDs. There were a bunch in there, and a lot of them were, it was, none of it would be for me. It's all stuff for the store, and when it's stuff for the store, I can't pay full price. I can't, especially the way thrift stores are now. The prices are crazy. But thankfully, I did find a nice stack of stuff that was really worth grabbing. Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater. Fairy Tale Theater has been released in a bunch of individual DVDs that have collections episodes, and then this big 26 episode 4-disc set. And this one is out of print and a little bit harder to grab, so that was definitely a good buy. And then, so you can pick this up here very nicely. Someone's X-Files collection, seasons 3 to 9, so it's only missing the first 2 seasons. I searched for them, they were not there. So seasons 3 to 9, and they're all the big box sets, those big fold-out original ones that you'd see things like Xena and Hercules in, and Star Trek and the X-Files, even like I Love Lucy, that big style, which I really enjoy. They take up a lot more room, but I prefer them overall, the way they open up with all the artwork and they just keep folding out for all the discs, and there's always so much more in those. They just feel like more of a collector's piece, but really, really cool. So you have seasons 3 and 4 and 5. So the end of when the show was super amazing, and then we get into when the show is just kind of okay. 6, 7, and 8, and then they should have ended it the previous season, season 9, probably the least popular season of the show. But from the original run of the show, it's only missing 2 seasons, and these are all really cool box sets. So those were really, I was excited. I grabbed those immediately. Every time everyone I saw, I just picked it up, put it right in my cart, because that's awesome. Really good find, and those will probably, I wish seasons 1 and 2 were there, because that would be an even better way to like lot up and have the whole original run. But still probably do that with those rather than sell them individually. We'll see what's going on there. So that was a long morning out. It was, again, like it was like over an hour away just to get to that first place, but it was definitely worth it. Got a lot of stuff and a weird variety, like not the normal things, but yeah, it's going to be a long time again before I go back to that other location. There can be some good stuff there. Like I said, I have had a good success at that place before, but it's a pain to get to, and people were nuts. If that's the new normal there, it's really not worth it. It's not worth back and forth a total of 2 hours of travel and dealing with that insanity if it's not going to be good every time. If it's not like closer to a sure thing. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to be going there again. Anyway, so that is it. And if you missed it, I did post just a real quick video looking at the next bunch of Laserdiscs went up for sale on the store. And if you missed it as well, check out my video talking about Xenoblade Chronicles X, because I really do think that it still has a place in the future of the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise. I think it's going to be more than just a straight port that we get.